station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Hey, good morning, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It's your boy Kevin Thornton, and you listen to the world famous The Wellness Architect Show. We have an amazing show. This is our last show for 2017. It's gonna be very good, very inspirational and goal setting. So please tune in and call in at 478-569-6474. Call or text us at 478-569-6474. You can follow us on Twitter at instinct_radio, IG at instinct radio. You can also follow me at Kevin Thornton or on IG at the Wellness Architect. Today's show is going to be very informational, very motivational. I got somebody very profound for you tonight, so be ready. My whole mission. I have great women on the show, but I'm very passionate about showing great men to change the narrative of how we see black men in our community, and based off the media and society. So before we get started and before I introduce him to the show, is two things. Don't wait until January 1st to get started with your whole healthcare kick. So if you want to start the 7-day, 14-day, or 30-day detox, please inbox me. Once again, the 7-day, 14-day, or 30-day detox to clean your system out before you change any of your dietary habits. Inbox me, and we can do a consultation and get through. Also, for coaching prospects, you can also call me or inbox me the same way. Finally, this show is going to be dedicated to my cousin. Those who've been listening to the show know that my cousin passed away a couple of weeks ago, and tomorrow is her birthday. So this show is going to be dedicated to her. So with that being said, I have a gentleman on the show. Those who know me know that when I say my prayer every night is to ask God to release all people who is not aligned with who I am and where I'm trying to go, so I can attract people who is more aligned with who I am and where I'm trying to go. And with that, this guy have come into my circle. We met through a Facebook group called Men's Group, that's being run by Tony Gaskins, and Tony Gaskins is a renowned relationship coach, and we are in the same group together. And so he's been doing some great things. I said I need to have him on the show. So his name is Mr. Shannon Hughes. He is a life coach. He's an author. He's a speaker, an all-around great guy. And we're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to talk about being the best version of yourself for 2018. We're going to talk about his books, and we're going to talk about the state of black men. So with that being said, Shannon, how you doing, sir?
Kevin, how you doing, my brother? Good evening to you and your crew, and my best to you and your family about your cousin. I'm sorry to hear that, but God's gonna take care of all of you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So it's best, I could do okay giving you an introduction, but it's good that you could, give your own bio, so you could tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how you get to the point where you are at this moment.
Well, I am here in Chicago, and basically, I'm a life, like as you eloquently put it a minute ago, I'm a life coach, author, and a speaker, and entrepreneur. Basically, we want to go back a few years. Actually, I always had the mindset of being an entrepreneur, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't have that mindset, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, but a lot of people, entrepreneurs as you are,
Mm-hmm.
we're, we're wired differently.
Right.
We are wired differently. We think
Definitely.
differently. We're goal driven, hungry, so we don't settle.
Right.
If I That's the best way to say it. So my thing is, I had to figure out what in the world I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say I tried everything that could come in front of me as long as it was legal.
Right.
I tried it just to make sure that it was for me. So I did everything from merchant processing, which was doing credit card machines, and then I went to real estate as a wholesaler, and I'm actually still doing that now. But I always wanted to keep adding on things, and but then just within the last year, as you were mentioned a minute ago about Tony Gaskins, um, just a little over a year ago, I had took one of his courses about being a life coach, and um, and it's funny because I have now what you don't know is I'm also a musician.
Okay.
I play trumpet, drums, and piano, and I've done trumpet since I was a kid. I picked up drums and piano back in '93, and I wound up volunteering teaching kids for 21 years voluntarily.
Okay.
And that became a passion of mine, and I enjoyed it. And it was in the beginning, it was a little nerve wracking because you're dealing with all walks of life from different backgrounds, single parents, some people had both their parents, and you just dealt with kids, and it was not something I was prepared for, but
Right.
I wanted to do it. And if you want to do it, you can handle it.
Right.
And I did it for 21 years. And in that midst, I had a lot of parents coming up to me saying, you ought to be a life coach. Now, I got to be honest with you, I laughed at that when I
Right.
first heard them. Yeah, whatever with that. Life coach, what is that? I mean, this was over 10, 15 years ago. Because even though I would teach music, I would sometimes veer away and start talking about life. But this was to kids. So they're ages between the ages of 5 to all the way up to teenagers. And I would sometimes just start talking about things, and I would have a parent say, hey, you need to do this. And it kept being said, but I, bristled at it. So then in the last couple of years, the lady that ran the school decided to retire. She had ran the school for 33 years, and it was time for her to retire. And the message of me becoming a life coach started to get a little bit louder. The parents started to say it a little bit more, and now I'm saying to myself, okay, maybe I shouldn't laugh this off, but I still kind of didn't take it as serious as I thought I wanted to.
Right.
But one of the parents said, I know what I see. I know what you are. You need to go ahead and do it. So after the school doors were closed, I did a testimonial video that lasted about 10 minutes. The very last day that the school closed. And I got over 300 hits off that video. People were private messaging me. People that weren't even my Facebook friends saw that video and reached out to me, and they felt my pain. But a lot of them said, "God, you would be a great life coach." And I laughed again, but it was like the 10th or 11th time I had heard that. I'm like, okay,
when you gonna listen?
Right, somebody trying to tell me something. Maybe I need to clean my ears out and start listening. So I want to say, so that was just after my birthday that the school had closed. My birthday was in April. School closed just after that. So the rest of that year, I kind of took rest of the year to kind of, soul search, figure out what it is, pray a whole lot, and just kind of, see what's going on. And then came across Tony Gaskins, who I'd already been following anyway, and decided to buy a couple of his courses, and bought the one about being an author and being a speaker and all this other stuff. And I said, let's see what's up. I have the gift for gab. I try to use my power. I try to use my powers for good and try to speak positive into the world.
Exactly.
And so I kind of went that route, and that took me to this time last year. I had went to California. One of the things I said, and I'm not saying this to sell a story, but I said I've got to get out of Chicago because I need to get out of my comfort zone. I need to go. Sometimes you got to step outside of it.
Right.
Not necessarily your city, but for me, that applied to me. I needed to get out of Chicago.
Right.
To, find some stuff and do some things. So I went out to California, out to Irvine, California, Southern California. Went out there, and actually a Facebook friend of mine who I had been chatting with for a few years, we had decided to hook up and just talk and whatever. And her name is Allie, and Allie kind of got in my face and said, "Why are you out here?" And I said, "Well, you know why." She said, "No, I need to know from you." And I told her, and it sparked something. And so she led me to another lady. Her name is Lauren Solomon, who I mentioned in my book, who we'll talk about later. Kind of on Christmas night. Christmas night, I had that. So I'm at a stranger's house, know none of these people, only one of them through Facebook, and we just had a conversation, and all kind of that getting to know each other, and I kind of became the topic that night. So for about a good 20 to 25 minutes, she delved into me, and she is also a speaker. trainer. She's an image consultant, and she's a lawyer. And I was nervous, but it was one of them nervouses where it's like you were excited about being nervous, where you like, there's something good might be coming out of this.
Right.
And she broke me down, and I was telling her, that I was doing some videos that had went viral. And she challenged me, not in a bad way, but she challenged me. She said, what I would challenge you to do is shorten up your minutes. I wanted you to do like a motivational minute. Do a daily, 1 minute spot of something that could get people started every day. She said, start on January the 1st. And I just said, okay. I don't know why I said okay. I just said, all right, no problem. Now, how am I going to say something inspirational in 1 minute?
Right.
Because I talk a lot. I just want to know how am I going to condense this to 1 minute. So for the rest of the time I was there, I just thought about it. And I said, we're going to call it my motivational minute. And I actually didn't start on January 1st. I started on January 2nd of 2017. And I've done it pretty consistently all year. And the reaction that I've gotten has been overwhelming.
Okay.
I didn't think that it would take off like that. That's why I wound up maxing out my Facebook friends, because they started telling other people, and people started jumping on. And there were days that I would either post a little bit later than I normally did, and people got me, where's my motivational minute? Where's my motivational minute? That's when you know I got something.
Right.
I got something that they're listening to. And then people started private messaging me. How about talk about this? How about talk about that? And I pretty much did it. I always prayed about it and what I wanted to talk about, and did it. And then when I went back to California, back in January, so literally a month later, I went there for a real estate seminar, and it was big. And the guy that hosted the seminar actually brought my name up. He said, I know who you are. And I hadn't really realized we were Facebook friends already. So, oh my God, I forgot I got so many, I didn't know who was on there. He said, I see your stuff every day. And he actually alluded to me in the seminar, which cool. I thought it was cool. I'm like, man, he knows who I am because he's pretty big. And he said, you put it out there every day, and people are going to, whether they respond or not, they know who you are, because they will, social media is very addictive. And people will kind of, even if you don't know them, what are they talking about? What is this guy talking about?
Right.
And from there, it just kind of morphed into, all right, go ahead and do a book. I'm scared to do that. I buckled down and I did it. And I posted something the other day, Kevin, where I said, you can't do something because you don't want to do it, but you can do something because you want to do it.
Right.
It's like when people tell me, well, you can run a marathon. I said, no, I cannot run a marathon because I don't want to run a marathon.
Right.
But if I wanted to do it,
I can do it.
I can do it. And so that's what it came with the book. It was nervous. I was nervous all outdoors. And so I just buckled down and did it. And I based the book off of my videos and kind of elaborated on a little bit more and put the book out. That was a painstaking process, but it was a process out that I was able to get through because I wanted to do it. And then next thing I know, hey, do you life coach? Hey, do you life coach? Hey, do you life coach? So now I started laughing when that happened because, as I told you earlier, everybody's saying, the parents of the kids I used to teach, you had to be a life coach. I was laughing then, but I was not laughing when people started saying, do you life coach? Do you life coach? Do you life coach? And so I guess the rest is history. Got my first few this year, and I have more people asking, and doing some consultations to see if we're a good fit. And you have not asked this question yet, but I'm going to ask it for the audience. They say, why would you be a good life coach? Couple answers to that. Number one, because I care.
Right.
It sounds like a very basic, bland answer. But Kevin, you and I have chatted a little bit. I don't like seeing people not live up to their full potential.
Right.
I don't like people being fed a bunch of nonsense and believing in nuts and nonsense that all these other people out there are, misery love company. People will come seek you out.
Exactly.
And try to take you down with them.
Exactly. But you know what, too, Shannon, is the fact that you say you care does mean something. It might not mean something to everybody, but but those who are in the industry of what we do, everybody who's a coach doesn't really always have the best interest at heart of the clients.
Agreed.
Because at the end of the day, it's a business. So like a medical doctor, they don't really want you all the way healed, because if they give you all the tools that you need, then you're not gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? But but my mindset is, I don't want you to come back. What I want you to do, if you need to, fine. But I want to be able to give you all the tools you need that you should be able to do it yourself. But if you ever need something, come back to me. All I would say is refer me to somebody else, somebody new. But but everybody don't really truly want the best interest. So that's why it's important to say you do care, because you care enough to give them all that they need to be the greatest version of themselves. In turn, be self-sufficient, and then just know that they'll refer you for other opportunities.
I agree with that, and I think with this profession, because a lot of people still don't take it as serious as other professions, and I can understand it, because I didn't, because I told you not long ago I didn't either. But sometimes you have to go through it and see some other examples. And when my friend, as I mentioned earlier, Lauren, said go with these videos and watch it organically take off, it took off, and it morphed into the profession that I laughed at, scoffed at. But when people started asking me, that's when it started to get your heart. Sometimes you find your passion in the least likely places.
Exactly.
Look, I have a passion to watch basketball. I have no desire to play it.
Right.
I'm taking it right now.
Right.
I'm not playing basketball. It's just not going to happen. My jump shot is, I turn the ball over. It's not happening.
Right.
But I can watch the death out of it. I have a passion to watch it, but I don't have a passion to play it. But with this industry, it's a growing profession. If anybody knows, it's out there, and it's not for everybody.
No, it's not.
It is not for everybody. But if you get the right one, it can make a world of difference.
Yep.
And the fact that people even ask me to think that I might make a difference to them is it's very humbling.
It is.
It's a humbling notion. So I take it very seriously. So I have people laughing at me, but I laughed. So I guess, what goes around comes around. But at the end of the day.
And the crazy thing, Shannon, is, with social media could give you a false sense of reality, good and bad. So, like, you do your videos, and listen to you talk, it motivated me, because, I do an inspirational thought that I send out every day. But my challenge has been doing videos. Because with this being a more visual society, it'd probably be easier for me to do a video instead of typing something out. But like you said, I could be long-winded sometimes, trying to get my point across. So just trying to learn how to make it to a condensed thing. That's why the show has helped me out a lot, because it helped the platform, so they can understand who I am and what I do, how I think. But you have helped me to say, okay, maybe January 1st I might start doing some videos, stuff like that. That's something I've been struggling with. But you do a video, you might get 100 likes on one, but then the next one you might get 15.
Correct.
But it doesn't really determine who all actually saw it.
Correct.
Because everybody, especially men, don't like anything like that. They'll read it, they'll watch it, but they will never hit that like button. And I had to learn that, because I went back to about 7 years ago. I went back to school for homecoming, my college homecoming, and I was real cool with a lot of the alphas. And so one of the guys put me to the side, and he said, "Don't stop doing what you do." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "I read your motivational thoughts every morning with my morning coffee." Now, he said, "I'm not gonna never hit that like button,
right?
But just know that I read it." And then I have maybe like 10 guys say the same. All of them say the same thing. They all read it. Right. They'll never like it. So if you see all these people saying that, if you go based on the fact that you're popular based on the number of likes you get, it could either make you feel like you're bigger than what you really are, or you're not doing something right based on you're not getting enough likes. So
Well, basically, that basically comes down to you never know who's watching. You
exactly.
never know. And I have a little short thing in the book about that. You never know who's watching. And I found the same story. I've had a few of those. I'll get private messages. Keep going with the messages. I told you a minute ago. Normally, I post them around between 6:30 and 7 in the morning Central Time every day. And one day I posted it around 9:30 because I got busy doing something else, and I got inundated with,
Right.
even it was jokingly, oh, where's our motivational minute? That told me right there
Right.
that people were listening. And then I got private messages and saying, hey, just the stuff that you say, just keep them coming. And then you start getting requests. And a lot of ladies, relationship advice, I always try to stay away from that. But then
You know,
every
yeah.
once in a while I'll do it.
We gonna talk about that for a second too.
Talk about that, but I try to, when the topics come in, I'll kind of look at it and pray about it and think about it. And like I said, I only do it for a minute. If I really want to go beyond a minute, every once in a while, I will say I'm going to have a part two of this, and it'll be a long form, and I'll put it out there. But I try to keep it fair and just let people, and I always invite people to comment on it as well, because it's just my point of view, and we should have more discussions,
Right.
because it's not just Shannon's view, it's everybody's view. So I enjoy it. I love the back and forth I have with the audience that I have so far. It's been great.
That's good. So where do we want to start with you? The book. What was the name of your first book?
Name of my book is called Your Motivational Manual Volume 1.
Okay.
And again, I basically based it off of my videos. I kind of went back over my videos. I said, you know what, let me just elaborate on these topics. And then I threw a whole bunch more in that I did. So like with my videos, I will literally, depending on the day, Kevin, I'll film 10, 15 videos, and I'll backvault them. And then I'll just kind of look at them, go back, archive, and I'll go back over them. I said, okay, that's something I can, maybe do a Facebook Live feed, which I do on Fridays, or I'll do this and that. And then some of the ones that never got played on social media, I said, you know what, let me elaborate that more on the book and just put it in the book. And I just put them in the book. And basically the book, I don't know how else to describe it. It is basically, I think common sense is severely lacking today. I really think common sense is severely lacking. My mom and dad always told me, my mom said it more than anything, if you use common sense, it can make you look really, really smart.
Right.
You may not have a 171 IQ and all these degrees and stuff, because I know people that have all of that and really don't have any common sense.
Right.
So I have a friend of mine that says, book smart and street stupid is what he says. It's kind of funny to me, but I understand what he's saying. He said, if you use common sense, it will make you look smart and you look better, make better decisions. I myself have never said I was the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree lights. Let me just be very clear. But I try to use common sense. And the book basically is motivation plus common sense and apply it daily. And I just take little short things and just talk about it, where I talk about, and I'll just point out a few of them where I talked about a relationship advice a minute ago. And I always get a laugh at when people, if they're with a mate and their mate steps out on them with somebody else, they get mad at the person that they're stepping out with as opposed to the person that is supposed to be with them.
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
No.
You're mad at the person they're cheating with, but you're not mad at the person that's actually cheating on you.
Right.
That makes no sense to me. So that's one of the passages in the book, like, you need to check yourself. I think that's ridiculous. I have one, my favorite one in the book, Kevin, is called Have Faith in Your Faith.
Right.
And basically, and I will use myself as an example, and a lot of this is on me. I would sit here and pray every day, God, bless me with this, and I love you, Lord, and I need you now, and woe is me, and bam, 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 and I will cover me unconditionally and all of that. Yet at the end of the prayer, I would do this. Man, it's not going to work. Okay, well, what did you pray for?
Right.
What did you pray for?
Right.
Prayer and faith works hand in hand. Faith, you just have to have it. You don't necessarily have to understand it. You just have to have it and have to know that it will all work out in the end. And a lot of times I would get myself into some fixes and would pray and say, I got this faith, but then right when I'm done, you contradict everything that you said was going to work out. Okay, it's not going to work. Well, what did you pray for?
Right.
You can't say, or you can't say this, I'm going to do this, and say it's not going to work. Well,
Right.
then you're wasting your time. You might as well not pray then. You might as well not do what you're doing. That's probably my favorite one in the book because
And I'm glad you said that one because
it do it.
I think that's a good one for a lot of folks.
Mhm.
Because I always try to challenge people about faith. I think a lot of times because you can't see it,
Mhm.
they don't know.
Not ten-
It's not tangible,
Right.
and I think we practice a lot of religion, and but our faith is not coinciding in what we supposed to really believe. And so we put a lot of power and energy in people,
Yes.
but not our faith. Because, when our president got elected,
Mm-mm.
my Facebook page was like, you thought somebody had died the way
Right.
everybody everybody was like, woe is me, very negative,
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I don't have to like the guy. I don't have to agree with what he do. But I'm not going to give him the power over me to say that my life is going to go down the drain based on him being president.
I agree.
Because that means that I contradict what I believe spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Because spiritually, we're supposed to believe that God is the highest power, that He orders our steps, and He makes no mistakes. If we believe that to be true, then God and myself are co-creators
Right.
of my life. And so Donald Trump doesn't have more power over my life, but then God does, unless I give him the power to do so.
I agree.
And that's where I think it's kind of lacking because it's like the spirit is like down in the dumps
Right.
over this person being president,
Right.
but it doesn't. But what does it really have to do with you?
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I think, well, they say man will fail you every time,
Right.
whether they mean to do it or not. I hear people on a daily basis, this sounds silly. I sound like I'm being funny, but I'm not. I hear people saying, well, Donald Trump upset me today. This is what he said. This is what he said. And I said, well, why do you even watch and listen to the stuff that he said?
Absolutely.
If you know it's going to upset you,
Mm-hmm.
and this doesn't necessarily have to do with him. It can be with anybody.
Right.
If it's someone that upsets you that much, you don't like what they say, you don't like what they do, whatever, a television show, a radio show, are you even giving it the time of day?
The time of day.
I don't. It sounds kind of brazenly arrogant, but look, I'm 44 years old. I don't have time to
Right.
deal with a lot of nonsense. I get a lot of nonsense thrown at you anyway. Don't make things that don't matter to you matter to you. is what
Exactly. And see,
and you give that negative stuff power,
mm-hmm.
you find yourself on an uphill battle on a daily basis. So I don't, and again, we use Trump as the example, but
It's anything.
there's just people that I deal with that are negative, that I just, again, nothing personal against them. I don't need that right now. I
Right.
got enough to deal with as it is. So I don't give people that I used to. In my 20s, I'd give all them people type of power. Can't stand them, don't
Right.
like them, get out with them and talk them out of every 5 seconds. I don't do it anymore.
Like my family and friends, they keep CNN and MSNBC on, and I'm like, why? Because because they it's still media, so they want to control the narrative. I don't care if it's CNN, Fox News, they want to control the narrative, and the narrative for most people is negativity and fear.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, therefore, why would I allow that to seep in my spirit? And,
I agree.
I don't have to. So I don't watch it. And so, when my mom or somebody called and they all in an uproar about what he did this time, I'm like, but what does it have to do with you?
I agree. I agree.
And they get mad at me. I'm like, but I'm just telling you the truth. I said, you allowing all this to affect your spirit, and it's for what?
No one's forcing you to watch him.
No one's forcing you to watch it.
No one's forcing you to listen to him or anybody else.
Right.
I think a lot of times people seems like they want to be told what to do, and to me, that shouldn't be the case. You don't have to, you don't have to. Look, I'm in here in Chicago. The thing that I hear on a daily basis is all the violence here in Chicago. I know you hear it down there in
Yeah.
Atlanta. The shootings that are on a daily, every day, Kevin. In news in general, it's always leading off with some type of killing. And in Chicago, not only does it lead, it goes into the next story. It goes into the next. Literally, the first 4 to 5 stories
Right.
in Chicago is about shootings in Chicago.
Right.
Now, I don't need to watch that every day. Why? Because I know it's happening. Now, it's sad.
Right.
I don't like it,
Right.
but I don't want to look at this because it just drives me crazy. It's already sad enough. And then, and the reason another reason I don't turn it on is because it'll be less than 5 feet before I walk into somebody when they start talking about it. Did you hear about the girl that got shot on the south side of Chicago?
Exactly.
Did you hear about the people that got killed on why I need to turn on the TV?
Right.
Somebody mentioned it to me, and so
Yeah.
it's enough. That's probably why I do what I do, because I'm trying to offset that as much as possible. I can't
Exactly.
solve all problems, but
And
I
like,
can't live with
like I tell Shannon, like I tell clients, I tell my friends, I tell my listening audience, what I recommend people to do, because I do it myself. You're not gonna always be perfect. You might watch something that's gonna be negative.
right.
You might, the news, love and hip hop, whatever it is, but I don't allow that to be the last thing I listen to or watch. So if I watch the news and I see all this negative stuff going on, then I have to either turn off the TV and go to YouTube and listen to something inspirational or motivational, maybe like Tony Gaskins or somebody like that, or listen to some inspirational music, because I want to go to sleep in a positive mindset and let the positivity infiltrate my spirit while I'm resting. So then when I get up, I don't get up watching TV, because the first thing you're going to watch is the news, and that's still going to be negative. So I wake up either writing in my gratitude journal or, listening to some kind of music or reading something positive for 15, 20 minutes before I get my day going, because that sets the foundation of how you're going to see your day, how you're going to start your day. Because, then that way I'm solid. So then therefore, when you come at me with all this craziness, I'm already firm in how I'm feeling today, so you can't really get me off my rocker.
I
But
agree. And well, you know what? A couple of my coaching students, same thing. I will sit back and listen. So one of the first things I had to learn, being a life coach, obviously we speak, but I had to be a better listener than I was a speaker.
yeah.
And a lot of times I would just sit back and just listen. And a lot of times they could either tell themselves the solution, or I could just pinpoint the problem by about 5 to 10 seconds within, or I'll just let them go a little longer, then I'll hear it. And I'll say to them, and I'll use your example that you just said a minute ago. I said, well, why do you listen to that person? Why do you still hang out with that person? Why do you turn this on? Why do you listen to that? Why do you watch this show? Why, like the Kardashians now, they're everybody's whipping family. Everybody likes to dump on them.
Right.
Here's my question to people that dump on them. Who's forcing you to watch them?
Right.
No one's forcing you to watch them. Again, I'm not here to jump up and down on them. They doing what they need to do, and they've turned it into a business. God bless them. No, I'm not hating on them. But if you don't watch their shows and you don't buy their products,
Right.
they will have to find something else to do. Now, again, I'm not telling people to go out and do that, but because they always seem to be in the media, and people, I can't stand the Kardashians. I say, well, I haven't given them. I don't know it. I don't know enough about them. I don't go by what you all are telling me. I don't watch them. Again, I'm nothing against them, but who is forcing you to deal with that type of negativity? So, my first couple of coaches still was like, "You're right." I said, "I'm just saying. I'm just
Right.
asking. I'm not throwing you under the bus.
Right.
I'm just who's forcing you? Who told you had to watch that?
Right.
And what you find fascinating about it? Because then you can't turn around and say, "Oh, I can't stand them. I don't
Right.
like them."
But then on the flip side, Shannon, we say we don't like these people,
And you don't even know them
don't even know 'em.
at all.
And and we'll use that example. We don't like them, and we like they became filthy rich without having any talent. Whose fault is that?
Not theirs.
It's not
It's
theirs.
not the Kardashians' fault.
Instead of being mad at them for using the platform what they did to create the
You have
life
the
that
same platform, and you have the same platform.
exactly.
They decided to use it.
Exactly.
Now, whether you like it or not, that's on you. But people, what is it, 30 million viewers keep tuning into their show every week,
Right.
buying products, watching them run all over the place. I'm like, again, my problem is not with them.
Right.
If you don't like what they do, turn them off.
Right.
Because I've heard like there's some disc jockeys back in the 90s where I would hear them call in on these, like they would, back the term then was shock jocks. I don't know if you remember.
Yep.
Shock jocks. And they would call in on these shows. And I didn't listen to them all the time, but I would hear the shock jocks say their main complaint or what they found funny was people would call into their show and say, I really hate your show. I really hate your show. He said, yeah, what you called the last 3-4 weeks saying the same thing in the last few months. But I appreciate the ratings that you keep listening to my show that you hate so much.
Exactly.
So if you don't like my show,
why you listening?
Turn it off. So I just find it, people don't realize the power that they have.
No, they don't.
Or just the ability to choose. I don't need to listen to it. Just like trying to go get something to eat. I choose, like people that don't eat healthy. I choose to eat this, feel bad, but I have the choice to go eat healthy.
Right.
So you have a choice. The freedom of choice is sometimes I think we take it for granted.
Right.
You can choose to listen to, hang out who you want to hang out with, eat, whatever. I just think a lot of times we don't realize what we have in front of us.
Exactly. And then one of the things you said is, to be a good coach, you have to be a good listener. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I do listen, like you said, I let them talk and I listen. So before I respond, I always say, I heard you say this, to repeat back what they said, to confirm what they said to me. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to go on the relationship kick. Because that's always like the theme if your client is a female.
Yes.
What the man didn't do or how they treated them, all this kind of stuff. So I said to the person, we're not going to really focus on what that man did to you, right, or how bad of a guy he was to you. What we're going to focus on is you. You chose that dude. Mm-hmm. You attracted that dude to you. So then, therefore, it's something within you, who you are as a person, or your thoughts that attracted that guy to you. So we need to figure that out.
Right.
Because they just a byproduct of what you attracted to them, and they didn't want to hear that.
Right. Hey, truth hurts, don't it? I had one that was very similar to what you just said. She told me about her last 5 relationships. And I said a minute ago, I let her talk. That was one thing I had to learn when I first got started was let them talk. Because a lot of time, my arrogance, sometimes in the beginning, I would over talk. I said, let me let them talk. So I let her talk. She told me about her last 5 relationships. There was some very interesting people she dated. So at the end of that hour, I said to her, there's one thing that I found in them relationships that was a constant in all of those relationships. She said, I've been dying to hear this. What's the constant? I said, you. You are the constant in all of these relationships. I'm not saying that the guys didn't do wrong. I'm not saying that they didn't take advantage of your kindness and took your kindness for weakness and all of this other stuff. But you keep choosing these type of guys. You are the constant in that relationship. So I know you're looking in their face and saying, be gone. I don't want to deal with it. And you were probably right. I wasn't there. I don't know. But why do you keep choosing these guys? She didn't want to hear, like you just said a minute ago. She got mad. But when she came back to the next session, she said, I had to look in the mirror. And you're right. So I had to kind of reevaluate myself, which is a hard thing to do. To look at yourself and say, all right, what is my problem? Right. And I've done it quite a few times, and I don't like doing it.
Because I tell people, I tell people, even with me, as you grow and change as a person, your taste in women or men, whoever, for females, change as well.
Yes.
You know, when I was in my 20s, the people I date now would never be in my eyesight because they weren't the type of person I was.
Correct.
But how I am now in my 40s, the women I dated back then are great women,
Yes.
but who I am right now, no.
Correct. Correct.
And
I
so,
mean, yeah.
I just think a lot of times, I think sometimes we rush to get married. We have this, the society and media create this narrative that you gotta get married by a certain time and date, all this kind of stuff.
Stuff it on that
But
stuff.
right, but a lot of times I just don't think people don't even fully understand who they are.
I agree.
And so you don't really, like, for me, I didn't really know who I was till I was 30, close to
Me,
30.
me either.
So anything before then was a mess,
I agree.
so yeah, so
I think a lot of times people spend, again, God forbid from this coming from a single 44-year-old man, but a lot of people spend more time on the wedding than they do the marriage.
exactly.
They spend all that effort, all that energy, all that money, all them resources, all that whatever and I'm sure you've been around people that was got to get the cake right, and I got to get the
Yeah,
suit right color, and where the hall gonna be, and who's the DJ, and what type of food, and I got to do this for everybody else. And after the pomp and circumstance is done, now you have to be with that person that you said I do it for. Y'all said forever, and now
right.
you're like, forever is a long time, isn't
It
it? And
is
that's why I'm very comfortable now saying, it's okay to not be married.
exactly.
You and I are in the same age group. So remember back in the day, they said you go to college, you get your degree, find somebody you love with, get married, have kids,
Yep.
repeat the cycle.
Right.
Well, that don't work for everybody.
No.
Some people went to the service, some people went to trade schools, some people started their own business. Oh, you can't do that back then. That was like you had the scarlet letter on your chest
Right.
if you went outside of what society told you was the American dream.
Right.
That's not American dream. Doesn't necessarily have to be your dream.
Exactly.
You don't have to get married to prove. When people say you should have been married by now, I'm like, by whose clock?
Right.
Whose clock? Who said that? Well, I don't really know. Okay, well, don't bring that to me. Again, it's all. I don't knock marriage,
Right.
but I respect it enough to know that I'm not ready for it.
Right.
Now, if my mate shows up, she knocks me off my feet, and God said, "Here she is." And I don't block that blessing. I don't know.
Right.
But I just think that a lot of times people use marriage as I don't know, it's like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I'm married.
Right.
But then some people, let's be honest, some people still living the single life as a married person.
Right.
I'm not putting no people's business, but some people, that marriage don't mean nothing. That ring don't mean nothing. Oh, I got a husband, but he don't know I
Yeah.
got a wife, and she don't.
Yeah. I know.
get
I
it.
know a lot of folks like that.
But we all do. We all do. But I guess my thing is, you do not have to go by what society tells you. I'm
Exactly.
not saying be a bad person, or it don't make you a bad person.
Right.
But be strong enough. If you're strong enough to be married, be married.
Right.
But you also be strong enough to not be married.
Exactly.
And Oprah Winfrey got that backlash for years.
Right.
Married
And
status.
it's funny you said that because I was dating a young lady, and she was a perfect fit for me at where I'm at in my life around this time. And we had a conversation. She has been married before,
Okay.
no kids, and we was having a conversation, and she said, "Are you stuck on getting married, or are you content on having a relationship?" She said, "Could you be okay with me and you doing what Oprah and Stedman does?" And I said, that wouldn't bother me.
Right.
I said, because I don't live my life with approval for everybody else.
Thank you.
I do what I feel is best for me, and if it's you, if it works for us, it doesn't really make a difference what everybody else thinks.
Correct.
And I usually don't tell people my business like that, but I happened to tell a female what the conversation that she and I had, and the female said, "Now you know that you gonna have a problem with that." I said, "No, I don't have a problem with that. You have a problem with that."
Right. There you go. There it is.
I said, "You have agreed to the narrative that you have to get married.
Yep.
You know, if for us, if it works for us that we just want to be in a committed relationship without all the legality of being married, why is it a problem?"
Right.
But God, I said, but we might not want to do it that way.
Right.
We want to control the narrative that we want to create for the
Right.
two of us, and this works for the two of us. Why doesn't you should just like it because we like it?
There's a passage in my book where I said, "Stay out of people's business." That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't keep their house in order, can't keep their house clean, can't keep their house straight, but are so quick to mind other people's business, to tell people how to live their lives. It's like people can manage other lives better than the one they should be managing, which is their own. And that's another thing in the book. I used to do it, so I can tell you what that was like until somebody shut me down. You can't stop managing other people's lives.
Right.
Married, they single, they kids. I think a lot of people, if we minded our own business most of the time, life would be so much easier because that's just stress. That's added stress you don't need to deal with. Why managing other people's lives?
As you get to know me, I'm very direct and to the point. And my favorite saying is, I don't have time to be concerned about nobody else's business because I got enough business of my own.
There you go.
And if I got time to worry about what you got going on, then I don't have enough business. So I need to create some more business.
I agree.
And when I say that, people get mad at me, but I can't really care about that. You know, I'm just telling you the truth. You know,
It's true. It's true because my thing is, again, now us being black men, we got a lot of stuff on our plate.
Yep.
And the societal look at us is never good. It's never good. I mean,
Right.
on the TV, it's about us doing something bad.
Right.
It's almost like no middle ground for us.
Right.
It's either we are rich athletes, celebrity, whatever, or we are thugs and whatever. And I'm gonna be serious here for a second. My father said to me, and he's still alive, thank goodness. He said to me and my brother, when we were young, there are two dangerous types of black men. One with a gun and one with a brain. I've never owned a gun, Kevin.
Right.
So I've always tried to use my brain. It's always mattered. Now this I take to heart. It's always mattered to me how I carry myself, not only as a man, but as a black man.
Right.
And again, there's so many stereotypes against us. I just talked about this with somebody the other day. I saw it on CNN a few years ago, and Law and Order SVU, one of my favorite shows, actually did a show about it, where there's a segment of the population of white America that believes that all black men are rapists. Can you imagine? I mean, wrap your head around that. For a second. Thinking, I have never abused a woman, done anything of that, and there's some segment of America think that I'm a rapist.
Right.
Because I'm black.
Right.
Now, look, I can't change and sway everybody's opinion, be it, my color or whatever it is. But I've always worn that badge kind of heavy because
Right.
I can't, as you can see, I am a light-skinned African-American male. I've had issues with that.
Right.
You just as direct as I am. Because I'm sure you've heard, I don't know if you've heard this from some people, and I've gotten it to where when I'm around darker skinned black men or women, they'll say, "You're not dark enough to call yourself black."
Right.
But on the flip side, I am not white enough to be white.
Right.
So it's always in that middle ground because light skinned think you're privileged and
Right.
all of this stuff. And I'm like, so now I'm getting stereotyped by my own people. So
Yeah.
it's like you can't win for nothing.
Yeah.
So with me, I just try to be the best Shannon as I can, obviously. But as a black man, I just wish that we would just go about our business and be about it instead of talking about it, instead of always trying to say, well, I'm a black man, I'm a black. I know who you are.
Right.
Just be who you are.
Just be
And
it.
the stereotypes are not going to go anywhere anytime soon,
Right.
unfortunately.
You
And I can only debunk that as much as I possibly can. So I try to be the most outstanding, God-fearing man I can and let the chips fall where they may.
So one of the things, like you said, your dad's still alive and stuff like that, and I think that's a positive thing because a lot of guys do not have that.
Yes.
My father's still living, and they've been married 47 years, so that's my reality. So a positive marriage is my reality. A strong black man is my reality. And he's taught my brother and I at an early age that to be confident black men, that no one's ever better than you. So he ingrained self-worth into my brother and I, which is a major thing that's lacking in men and women, especially of our race. Self-worth is lacking. We're looking for other people to validate us instead of looking for us validating ourselves. So when you have confidence like yourself or myself, it's not that people take it as being cocky, arrogant,
Right.
and it's not true. It's just confidence. You feel that because you don't have it,
Correct. Correct.
and you have to ask yourself why you feel you're not worthy enough to feel good about yourself and not need validation from anybody about who you are and how great you can become.
And that's why I think social media is dangerous at times.
Very.
Um, because people think you've seen it, you on social media, you've seen some people that will make comments based off of what they see or what they think they know about somebody. We were talking about the Kardashians earlier.
Right.
And a lot of people, the self-esteem is so low that they go to social media. That would be the last place I would probably go to get find out what my self-worth or try to find somebody that's like, it's just not the place to go, in my
Right.
opinion. Now, I'm on social media daily, but I use that platform to let you know, as you said a minute ago, you are worth it. And don't think you are. Why don't you think you are? And I've had a couple of my coaches, students, I've asked them, why do you think that? Now some of them don't really have a reason. They just think like that. Yet the parents have told them, you are worth it. But then you have some that the parents or they've been in that negative environment said, well, you're never going to be amount to much, and that. So you do have that as well.
Right.
And that's a punch to the gut when I hear people saying, I ain't worth it.
Right.
And I'm not this and that. And sometimes, unfortunately, that ends up with some tragic results at times. You see people
Exactly.
taking their own lives because of stuff like this, because they don't think that they're worth living, they're worth it, that they're not as good as anybody else. I can't stand listening to stuff like that. It hurts my heart when people saying I'm not good enough. Now, I've had my down moments when I said I'm not good enough. Now, I never want to take my life like that. There's days where I'm so frustrated and tired of living, but I'm too afraid to die yet because I got things to do. And God said, no, you ain't going nowhere yet.
Right.
I need you to stay there because there's some stuff that you need to do. And so it's really, really sad here in 2017 that there's people with the bullying. I mean, we can touch on that.
Right.
You got kids, people half our age or younger than that don't think they work at the age of 12, 13, 14. That is just insane to me to hear that you have teenagers that don't think they work. There's a Netflix show called 13 Reasons Why. I watched that series. It is an uncomfortable watch, but it's a great watch where it talks about teen suicide, which I was really not aware of. Selena Gomez, who I think you might know,
Yeah.
she's the executive producer of that show, and it's a tremendous show. I mean, look, it's uncomfortable. It's not like entertaining in the sense of but if you have children that are teenagers, or some teenagers, or you're a teacher that deals with teenagers, this stuff is real. And but it scares me that kids that young, when they're supposed to be just trying to find out who they are and what life has in store for them, think that they're not worth it. And all this bullying going on, and now they feel the weight of the world between the ages of 14 and 18, take their own life. It is just one of my coaching clients. talked about her daughter had thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's what she says is resolved, but I'm like, yeah, but you still have to monitor that. You know,
Exactly.
I'm not a psychiatrist, but just be mindful that something could switch and whatever. But that show was a great show to watch because to watch teenagers even feel, that's not even an adult yet, feeling that they're not worth it, Kevin.
Right.
That's a sad state of affairs. That just hurts me to my heart.
So one of the things is that as we get ready to head to 2018,
Mm,
um a few weeks ago, we all got you and I got emails
mm-hmm,
saying that Tony Gaskins was going to create a men's group,
mm-hmm,
that he's feeling led to create a group for men, especially men of color,
mm-hmm,
to collaborate, fellowship, inspire, and motivate us all to be great.
mm-hmm,
When I read the email, I thought it was perfect for me
mm-hmm.
because that was something that I wanted to do. I'm still going to do things because stuff like that is needed. The group is needed. We need seminars or workshops for men because we
Right,
don't have them.
right.
Women has all kind of stuff.
Yes,
We don't have it.
I agree.
So when it came to my email box, I just said, okay, that's the universe saying this is what I want you to do,
Mm-hmm,
and use it to your best, and collaborate as much as possible. So that's how I met you. What's the unfortunate thing is we only have like 18 members so far, and they're
mm-hmm,
like you said, they're not active. And the thing is, and I'm reverting back to before I became a coach. I got coached,
right.
and I got coached by Iana Van Zant and her team.
All right.
And so she used to have a radio segment on Michael Baisden, which I
Okay.
put that in my, because I co-authored a book with 19 other guys, and I put that in my spot. How she had a segment on Michael Baisden every Wednesday on his show, and she felt led to do a free 9-week coaching
Mm,
for men, for 100
mm-hmm.
men. She ended up having like 125 men,
All right.
and all walks of life. And I was one of them. And that's what kind of converted me to know that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
But to see the men, I don't know if you ever saw any of her shows on
Yes.
on you
Oh,
saw
yes.
so you've seen the ones like if you saw the one where she had the gay guy, the gay men,
Mm-hmm,
and they was all of them had been molested or whatever.
mm-hmm.
That brought back
Right.
me getting coached by them because molestation
Mm-hmm.
and abandonment were
Yes.
were the two top issues
Right.
of the men. What
Right.
I what my issue was, it was relevant to me,
Right.
but it was nothing compared to these other guys.
Right.
And to see these guys break down and cry
Mm,
because the mother's boyfriend molested them,
right.
and she chose to believe the boyfriend over her son,
Ugh.
you know,
Ugh.
or you hear this guy crying because, his father left him, never came back, and they just didn't understand why they're not worthy enough to be loved by their father.
Right.
And I think it's easier said than done for a lot of people to say, get over it. I haven't had a father either, but get over it. But if that's not your experience, or I can't tell anybody how to feel. I just got to learn how,
I agree.
you got to learn how to, have them deal with their emotions and then release it.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the father probably is not going to ever be around, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
allow that to keep you from actually fully being able to love people.
I agree. I
But the
agree.
but the issue is we as men and we as black men, we're taught not to deal with our emotions.
Correct. That is That is profound, and it's sadly accurate. Where you're not because even, and I'll add to that. Growing up, you always hear, black men should not be gay, they should not be this, they should not be that, because we, again, as I said to you earlier, there's a stereotype against us. So there's certain things that we were told we cannot be. You can't be this, you cannot be that. And then even as I got older, especially when I was coming out of high school, it was always focused on athletics or arts. So they wouldn't tell you could be a lawyer. They didn't tell you you could be a doctor. They didn't tell you could be all this other stuff. You had to be either in the hood on the street, or you had to be an athlete or some type of rapper, singer, whatever. Because they told us we had no middle ground. At
Right.
least that's what I was told.
Right.
Now I was a musician, but that wasn't like the end game for me. I mean, that's not, I knew I had a brain. I knew there was other things that I could do. I just had to figure out what they were. But so it's sad because when you're told as an African American male that we're typecasting you, this is all you're going to be.
Right.
Don't stray too far out of this area. Let me be very frank. Damn that, Kevin.
Right.
You're not about to tell me that I don't have I cannot be as smart as somebody else, or I don't have the business sense as somebody else, or I don't have the ability to go to law school if I wanted to, or whatever. That stuff I've never, ever, ever bought into. And
Right.
it's sad because a lot of people in our age group don't recover from stuff like
No.
that. Because it's very traumatic, as you were saying about the men being molested as kids. A lot of you don't know what people go through.
Right.
And then when you start digging, and again, as a life coach,
You have to dig.
I'm sitting here listening, and I don't know if you ever heard the old saying, minor surgery if it happens to you, major surgery if it happens to me. So even though I've not been where you've been, I don't walk a mile in your shoes. But when I told you I care, it hurts me to my heart to hear the stuff that you as an adult that is still affecting of stuff that happened over 25, 30 years ago. It is a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
And look at the sexual harassment claims that's out there right now. I'm not about to go into that too tough, but
We
people
can.
but people are like it's still affecting them for this that happened back whenever. And like,
Right.
man, they could vividly tell you. I remember here was the date and the time, and this is what I was wearing, and this is what he was wearing. We were at this hotel room, and then he asked me to do this, and she asked me to do that. Stuff like that can ruin your life.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's going to take control of your life. You can overcome it. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy.
Right.
But it's amazing to me, some of the stuff. I hate to say it at this point. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't shock me anymore.
Right.
I say that. It's sad to say because there's so much violence and nonsense because the world is hurting right now. But you hear some stuff that's been in people's closets that just comes out. It just tears my heart apart to listen to some of this stuff, Kevin.
And one of the things I said in the beginning of the year, I think it was the beginning of the year, or maybe close to the beginning of the year, it was a book that it was an audio book that I was listening to, called Outwitting the Devil.
Okay.
And it's by the guy who wrote the book, Think and Grow Rich. And this book was never fully published at first, because of what it talked about, and his wife didn't want him to publish it because she just knew it was going to get a lot of backlash. So they never published it while he was living or while she was living. But once they passed away, their kids published the book.
Okay.
And what the book is pretty much is like an interview, a reporter interviewing the devil.
Wow.
And
Okay.
if it's a read or a listen that I tell everybody, it's gonna be a game changer how you see things.
I'm going
And
to this one.
so the devil says that the devil is not a man with red horns and a tail and a pitchfork. He said the devil is fear and negativity.
Yep.
And he uses everyone for his mission. He uses educational system.
Yep.
He uses the church. He uses politics. He uses each other. So when you are using fear and negativity, that is the work of the devil.
Correct.
So one of the things that I remember that really brought me home to like where we at right now is that when President Obama was elected, you know, that was great for us, but the devil used it for his greater good as well too, because he invoked fear in some of white America, because white America was not ready to take orders or be led by someone who was not of their color. So that brought their fear and negativity. So then that's when the racist comments and things start to happen. It was done on purpose because we have chosen not to deal with the issues.
Right.
So the universe is going to force you to deal with the issues. So even though in those 8 years of Obama, we really still never really dealt with the issues. So since we choosing, because everything's a choice, since we're choosing not to deal with the issues, what he do? He give you Donald Trump. And this situation is forcing us, hands down, to deal with the issues because it's back in our face.
At some point, you're gonna have to deal with it. You can run as much as you want to. At some point, you're going to have to stand there and deal with it. And it is. Look, it's uncomfortable, and it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy. You were talking about the devil. I had posted something just 2 days ago. The devil is in disguise. Be ready. He could be standing next to you.
Right.
It doesn't have to be something tangible like you said with the red horns and all of that stuff. But anything working against you can be a threat. And it all depends on how you react to it. Now, I'm a proactive person. I posted that the other day where I said, I'll take proactive over reactive anytime. Now, sometimes you're going to have to react to some things. But the more you stay proactive, you can thwart off a lot of the devil's activities. Like I said, I'm a God-fearing man. I pray daily. I pray when I'm doing well, and I pray when I'm not doing so well. This year is a test. I had a lot of peaks and valleys this year. I did a video this 2 weeks ago, and I got a lot of hits off of this, where I had more valleys than I did peaks, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But I needed to have those.
Absolutely.
I needed to have those because Kevin, this sounds like it's rude and disrespectful. And sometimes when I talk to my few of my students, there will be a point in our session, and again, I'm listening to them, where I will be very direct with a question. And my thing is this: you've always heard, how bad do you want it? You've always heard it's not anybody watching this interview that has not heard that. And I always say, if you gave up, you never wanted it to begin with.
Right.
You thought you wanted it. You may have faked yourself into a false sense of reality. I really know I want it. Did somebody tell you you wanted it? Did it look sexy to you where you said, okay, I'm going to try for a little bit? You just put your toe in the water. Just because you don't never confuse activity with achievement. Just because you're moving around doesn't mean you're getting something done. Now, I always use the treadmill as the example. Now, maybe it's not a great example, but the treadmill, you're not moving anywhere.
Right.
But like I said, when I go to the gym, I try to, sometimes, you always say, I'm just going to stay at this speed and it's going to work on my cardio. Well, okay, well, how about some peaks and valleys? How about inclining it? How about slowing it up? How about, I see a guy at the gym that'll run fast for like 2 minutes, gets off his push-ups, gets right back on, speeds up. I like that. Now, I'm not there yet, but I like that because he's challenging himself.
Right.
To me, we get very comfortable very, very quick. And the devil likes that as well when you get comfortable.
Yeah.
He was comfortable is when he got you.
Okay, the thing is, the 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 valleys is needed because it want to see how strong you are.
Ooh, yes,
How long? How bad do you really want it?
yes,
A lot of times, if you ever notice, a lot of the people who have great success, they had a valley.
yes,
Steve Harvey was
yep,
homeless for 3 years,
yes,
but he made it happen. Now look at him.
yep,
A lot of people had, financial hard times because, you know, he, the God and the universe is preparing you for the greatness.
I agree.
And so sometimes when you not in the valley, all you have is time is to focus.
And then you find out how strong you really are. You find out you're stronger than you think you are.
Stronger than you think you are, but also Shannon, it also show you who really is behind you.
Oof, man, you telling it now.
Because when you up top,
Yeah,
you
everybody wants
got
to be
plenty.
your friend.
Everybody want to be your friends. But
You
when
let
you
the
get there,
buck
when you in
can't
that
find
valley, you can't
you.
find
Yeah.
them because look,
Dwayne Johnson talked about that. Dwayne The Rock Johnson,
yeah,
he was saying how when he was coming out of college, it was rough for him, and he talked about he had $7 to his name, and he was trying to become a wrestler, and he tried, and one of the recruiters from the WWE was talking to him. He said, "I would buy you some, but all I got is $7." And look at what Dwayne Johnson is now, and he has a production company called $7. What now? That if that ain't God, I don't know what it is. The man
right,
said he had $7, and now his production company is called $7. So
right.
you look back on stuff and say, man, and when you're going through it, you ain't supposed to like it.
You,
I'll be very frank. You ain't supposed to like
you
it, and you
don't.
like most of it. But when you go through it and you become what I call battle tested. When you find out how much your heart can take, how much your soul can take, and if your passion is true,
Right,
come out of that.
right.
God retros all of that, and there's nothing that will be thrown in front of you that you cannot handle.
And the thing is, when you're going through the valley or you're going through a storm, the thing is not to ask why me, why
Right.
not you. The
There you
question
go.
the question you need to ask is what I'm supposed to learn from this situation.
Absolutely.
Every
Because you
day,
haven't you haven't lost if you've learned something.
right,
You haven't lost anything if you've learned. Like the famous painter Bob Ross would say, we don't make mistakes, we make happy accidents.
right,
You haven't lost anything if you learn from it.
exactly. So, why do you think men aren't as active in groups that's going to help them become great?
I think it's ego. Uh, I hate to say that answer, but I think it's ego because women are more in touch with their feelings. This is not breaking news, but women are more in touch with their feelings. They're not afraid to express themselves, and when they get together, they will talk about stuff. Now, women will also dog each other. Guys, I told my friend that the other day, I said, y'all will dog each other too. She said, yeah, but I love my girl. And I love my girl. But, we bond. Women are not afraid to wear, not all women, but most women are not afraid to wear the heart on their sleeve and talk about the issues and deal with the issues and
Right,
start groups and get on social media. And I applaud. This is the year of the women. If you think about it,
right,
I did a video back in July when the movie Wonder Woman came out, which was a fantastic movie, by the way. And my commentary was, women have been preparing for this for a long time, and now here it is. And guys can't deal with it because of their ego. Because we were coming up, we were told women are to just tend to the home, kitchen, and the bedroom. That's all they were good for. Now you see women owning their own companies. They're producing movies. They're the WNBA. They're all walks of life. You see more and more of them in politics now. This sexual harassment stuff, which is a negative thing, but this is women. I look at it as another form of empowering themselves, saying,
right,
"We've had enough. we've had enough. We're not doing this no more. And you see a lot of these guys scrambling.
Right.
And a lot of them that have been accused. And again, I don't know. I wasn't there when all this stuff took place. You don't hear a lot of them saying they didn't do it.
Right.
I'm just, I apologize. Really? Oh, okay. But getting back to your question, men's ego is always and pride, which is a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Our ego and our pride. We think that we're supposed to be invulnerable. We are that macho. We don't deal with feelings, things of that nature. There's parts of me that is like that. Not totally.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, at this age now, I'm not afraid to express myself more and afraid to talk about it more. And that's why when I said I care as a life coach, I've got to be able to talk. I have got to be able to listen. I've got to be able to, talk to, be it male or female, the emotions and thoughts and the processes and things of that nature. But I still think guys, for the most part, not all guys, we are caught up in our own conceit, arrogance, ego, old school. We don't deal with that. All we do is we just kind of just bulldoze through things and just let the chips fall when they may and let the women tend to that type of stuff. That's how some guys still think. Mm-hmm. I can honestly say I don't do that. That is just not productive. Why is it that a man can't deal with his emotion and his feelings?
Right.
When we talked about marriage earlier, if that ain't dealing with emotions and feelings, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
But for me, when I've the women that I've dated, there's been a couple of them that really wanted to get married. Now Shannon at that time was not ready. Shannon today is not ready. I'm telling you right now, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
That's me dealing with my emotions. And I'll tell a woman, well, I'm kind of career oriented, driven, and maybe that's not a good reason, but I want to be able to commit to you and be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Back then I wanted to play the field. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Back then I wanted to play the field. Now, whatever with the field, I'm just kind of focusing on Shannon right now. But one of the first few times I wanted to be selfish in my life and actually be the best Shannon I can possibly be. And now if my mate shows up, that's great. And I will deal with my emotions and my feelings. But I think guys overall still have that old school mentality of women deal with emotions and guys don't. Well, I got news for guys. If you look at the way the world is now, and you look on social media, you're going to start dealing with the example you brought up with the guys that were molested.
Mm-hmm.
You don't talk about it.
Mm-mm.
As heinous as that act is, you still a man. You don't talk about that to no other man. You don't talk about that woman. You just suck it up and deal with it. But then somebody gets around you, or God said, no, we now going to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the fact that you're a man. You're still a human being at the end of the day.
Right.
You go with this. And even though that's maybe not a good example because of that heinous act and that crime.
Even the guys that dealt with abandonment issues.
Right.
And they deal with their issues of, low self-esteem, low self-worth, trust issues, whatever they deal with regarding that issue, they, like you said, they still don't want to talk about it.
Yes. And I think they think public shame and ridicule is what they're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say I think life coaching is important, because I'm not about to shame you.
Right.
We're going to talk about it and we're going to deal with it. And I just think that because there's a coach named Herm Edwards. He used to work at ESPN now at Arizona State.
Yeah.
Herm was to always say with the social media, think before you hit send. Because now if you start putting your business out there, you can delete it all you want. But that millisecond that it's out there, somebody saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody saw it. And now you get people coming at you. And now, again, as I said earlier, you have to start a letter on your chest. You should have never said it. I never get on people for how they feel about something. Now, how they deal with it is another deal.
Right.
But I never get on because I don't know what your testimony is. Mm-hmm. I don't know where you've come from. I don't know what you've been through at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't care what color you are, what your sexual preference is, what country you're from, or what your age is. We all have a story.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been through it at some point. At some point, you're going to have to deal with it. And I don't say that to scare people.
Right.
I'm saying it to you is you've done a lot of damage not dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Not dealing with it can do damage to you. Now deal with it and see what unfolds. You see, you got to start peeling them layers off.
Right. And it's funny. It's funny you said that because I'm gonna use Jay-Z,
Mm-hmm.
the 444 album,
Yeah. Go ahead.
along with Lemonade.
Yes. Boy, did they deal with it.
They dealt with it,
They did.
and and
But they
he
dealt with it the way that they knew how to deal with it.
and the thing is I put on my page and nobody. It was surprising nobody listened to it, but I put a video on my page. They did an interview. And he some guy from some newspaper interviewed him. So like it might have been 45 minutes long,
Yes.
and it was an amazing interview. He pretty much said, like you said, their relationship. He loved her, she loved him, but it was built on unstable grounds.
Right.
Not on her side, but on his side, because he wasn't fully ready.
Right.
But he didn't want to let her go.
Right. He wanted his cake and eat it too. That's what he
Right.
wanted.
Right. And he kept doing, like you said, being married but living a single life until he almost lost her.
Yep.
And then he had to deal with his emotions. 'Cause
Right.
he admitted that they went to counseling. He saw a
Right.
therapist and all that kind of stuff. And that forced him to deal with things that he never had to deal with before.
Right.
And
And he dealt with it the best way he did through his music.
Right.
And so she. And like I said, everybody has different means of how you deal with it. And as long as you deal with it,
right.
to do it in the best way you know how, it can be just an overwhelming experience where you're like, wow, it just like the weight of the world is off your shoulders.
Right.
But then in turn, you can then be a guiding light to somebody else.
Exactly.
I guarantee you, you ain't the only one that's going through what you. Because a lot of times when you go through stuff, you think you're the only one going through it.
Right.
And guys, going back to your question you asked a minute ago, we sometimes think we have to deal with it. I only going through this. I don't need to talk about this with anybody. That is not the case. There's too many people on this planet. Don't tell me that there's not somebody else going through what you go through.
Right.
And if you deal with it, getting some type of professional help, counseling, talking to a good friend, go to having the peer groups as we talked about earlier, your pastor, what have you, it can really, really, if you really want to deal with it, it will be handled. I mean, if it's hurting you that bad,
it's gonna be tough.
it will be tough. And it's
but you can make it through.
You can make it through.
You can make it through.
We all had our issues with stuff that we didn't think we were going to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And we got through it. I agree.
So as we get ready to head into 2018, what would you, as a coach, tell people they should do to create the best year possible for 2018?
I've already dealt with it on social media, but I'm glad you're asking me directly. First of all, one of the things I did this past year is on the first of each month, I did a check-in with everybody. Because when I started the videos, as I told you earlier, on January the 2nd, I said, leave it back there. That was 2016 at that time. Leave it back there. There's nothing you can do about it. But I'm going to check in with you all, once a month. But I was still doing my daily motivational minutes. One of the things that I said was, I said, here's January 2nd or 3rd, and I guarantee you all, some of y'all done fell off the wagon because of those New Year's resolutions.
Right.
Y'all said, yeah, I'm gonna start dieting on. That's the big one. I'm gonna start dieting on the 1st. So I'm gonna gorge on December the 31st, get drunk and do everything. But on the 1st, I'm a detox.
Right.
You're selling your products today.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna start losing all my weight.
Right.
And by the end of the week, they fell off the wagon. So a couple answers to your question. One, you can make a resolution at any point of your life. It does not have to be the start of the year.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the start of tomorrow. It don't have to be the start of next month. It could be right now during this interview.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, because it's a form of procrastination.
Yep.
It's a form of fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's the devil working. We've already talked about
Right.
that. You and that's saying, oh, he's putting it off. Well, I've already won. That's the devil. I've already won this battle because I got him procrastinating. Now
Right.
he's gonna do it again. Now he's gonna do it again. When I started working out this past year, I had put it off, but then when I signed up in February, I stayed with it, and I lost my weight, and I'm not in the greatest shape yet, but I'm in better shape than I was 9-10 months ago.
Right.
So to me, if you're going to do something, the time is always now. It is always right now. You may not get tomorrow.
Right.
So that's the first thing. That's the first thing. So today, we're here. We're sitting on, what is it? Today's the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Start now. You don't have to wait 2.5 some odd weeks before you decide to make a change. I don't care if it's just writing a few goals down. I don't care if it's, all right, let me just do 20 minutes a day on the bike. I want to get in shape. Let me just start 20 minutes a day.
Right.
And then in another week or two, I'll go up to 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week. Start slowly. I don't like to go just jump in. I do like to start slowly and start to build it up. So the first thing I would say is you start. Start now is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is, you said it not too long ago. When you're on top, everybody wants to be with you. When you're at the bottom, you cannot find anybody.
Right.
Know when you start to make a change for the better about yourself, your circle around you is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look. If you have been down in them valleys, as I was alluding to earlier, people are used to seeing you down now.
Mm-hmm.
But once they see you starting to ascend, he's gonna wind up back down in the valley anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's how people are.
Mm-hmm.
Know that some people around you are going to change. There are gonna be some family members around you that change.
Oh yeah.
But I hate to say it.
Mm-hmm.
There's family members that be like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. You whatever. Whatever. So know that the people around you and with people around you changing, sometimes that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get around people that is better than you or are what you're trying to get to, which
Right.
is what I position myself to do, to get around people like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do that. And there's a guy named Kent Clothier who's a real estate investor who the seminar went in January. In his book that he put out this past year, it says people always wish you well until you're doing better than them.
Yep.
Tell me that ain't true.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that's not true. I mean, it's sad to say, but you have to know that your circle is going to change. So be aware of that as well.
Right.
The next two things I would say is be steadfast in your journey. Like, don't deviate. I mean, you're going to get temptation to quit.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get tired. You're going to have people you're going to have stuff thrown at you. You're going to have every type of adversity thrown at you, because if you're trying to better your life, it's not supposed to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer you get, the harder it's going to become. Kevin, you don't know everything about me yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that out right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that out right now. And I've had my days where the Mr. Motivational Minute Man starts to soak a little bit. I'm human.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you. But I'm not where I want to be, but I'm no longer where I was. So I have made progress,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to keep going. And a lot of times, and then the last one I'll say is, a lot of us tend to quit just before the miracle happens.
Exactly.
You get right up to that point, Kevin, and then all of a sudden, fear kicks in, doubt kicks in, naysayers start pulling at you, the devil starts working overtime, and now you're saying, man, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. I can't do it. So you done prayed, like I said to you, have faith in your faith. So you done prayed and worked and busted your tail and all that. You got to this point, and now you're going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
For me, at this age of my life, I will insult myself if I quit.
Right.
I will insult myself if I quit. I mean, it's again, and I've had a pretty good support system, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
I found some of my so-called friends, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And some I find out who my friends are. I found out who my associates were. People who I thought were my friends are my associates, or people that just were around me. But I also found out that there were people who I thought were against me actually became my best allies and wound up helping me. I'm like, man, I didn't even know. Hey, I'm here to help you. All you had to do was ask. That's another thing that people should start doing. Ask not, have not. If you don't ask, how are you going to know? The dumbest question is the one you don't ask. That's what I used to tell my piano students. And to me, there's what social media, social media is like says negative, but it has some negativity in it, but it's all in how you use it. I've used it to to the betterment of myself. Where I'll just reach out to people and say, can I ask you a question? And I've garnered some friendships out of this.
Okay.
And some business relationships out of it because I wasn't afraid to ask. I used to be in my 20s. You're afraid to ask because you're afraid of looking dumb. You're afraid of, oh, that's a dumb question.
Right.
Well, I'm still the one looking like an idiot because I chose not to ask the question. And a lot of people out there that are doing well, some of you'll ask, don't answer it.
Right.
We think because they're well off, or what appears to us that they're well off, that they can't answer my silly little question.
Right.
That goes back to self-worth.
Right.
If you're worth it, you will ask that question.
Is that regardless? Yeah.
I don't care where they at, who they are. You'll run up to them and say, I got to ask you some questions.
Right.
And you will find out a lot of them will answer your question.
Yeah.
And
so I got something for you, Shannon. Someone from Chicago just sent the email in saying congratulations to you for all that you have accomplished so far. And he wanted you to talk more in detail about the book you published and the book that's coming out soon.
Absolutely. So the book I published called, well, let me show y'all the cover. I do actually have it right here. So it's Your Motivational Manual, Volume 1. And Volume 2 is the one that I'm finishing up here in a little bit. And basically, the book is just, when I say there's not like chapters, Kevin. It is literally one page of a topic, straight and to the point. It's almost like my Motivational Minute videos that I do online, where I just get straight to the point. Next page is a different topic. Next page is a different topic. Next page is a different topic. And there's about 90 of them in this book. And I spray from everything from about relationships, as we talked about earlier, to having faith in your faith. Where I say that's still my favorite one. Another one I have is called Know That Greater Is Coming. We talked about that earlier. There's one of the ones I won't say I laugh at, but one that I talk about is what would John Cena, Superman, and Captain America do? And it's kind of silly, but those three to me get ridiculed a lot because they come off as these goody two shoes, like they're justice in the American way and blah 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 blah. But these are the type of people that will come save you whether you hate them or not. These are the type of people that you are going to raise your kid to say, be like that person. Always try to be a productive member of society and help others and this and that. And in on that when I talk about what would they do in certain situations. So I spray to all fields as far as thinking processes, relationships, goals, procrastination. That was one of my hangups back in the day, to be honest with you. Getting in shape, and surrounding yourself with better people, as we just talked about a minute ago. And in Volume 2, it's going to be kind of the same thing. I get more into relationships on that because, as I told you earlier, I have a lot of people ask me about relationships. So there'll be more of that. And in Book 3, even though you did not ask, Book 3 is called This Idiot Can Do It, So Can You.
Okay.
And basically, it's about myself, where I talk about growing up in a blue-collar family. Father worked for the post office, and he still does. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom till we got to about 4th or 5th grade with my twin brother. And she went into the workforce. And then so now they said, now you all got to kind of handle your stuff because we're both working. You all have to handle your business. And so coming up in that middle class back from the late 70s into the 80s, and then where my mindset started to transition into wanting to be an entrepreneur. Because as I said to you before, being a young black man, they always tell you, no, you can't own your own business.
Right.
You go work with somebody else, you get married, have kids, and you do that. Well, at my age then, you don't tell your parents, I don't want to do that. You just kind of do what they say, have respect them as your parents, but something inside you is telling you that that's not it. and I talk about some of the dumb stuff, nothing illegal, some of the dumb stuff that I would do to try to speed up the process. Sometimes you start seeing what isn't there. You start taking shortcuts. I always say shortcuts is the fastest way to failure. You may get this false illusion that you've been, I got everything, then all of a sudden, it's almost like a Ponzi scheme. I got it, then they pull the carpet off my
Right.
So the book will be out around about, I'm trying to get out around my birthday, around April.
Okay.
And,
So
so I got basically 2 books in the wings right now.
okay. So how can they buy Volume 1, and when Volume 2 and 3 come out, when Volume 2 and the other book come out, is it through your website or is it through Amazon? How can they find?
Amazon. You can go right through Amazon and purchase that book. It's up there now. And it's on Kindle Fire as well for those who like the Kindle as well. It's an easy read. When I tell you like how we're talking, that's exactly how the book is. It's not, I don't get wordy. I don't get, then the book about me, you'll see more of me, how I make fun of myself, talk about my insecurities and things of that nature for that 3rd book. But Your Motivation Volume 1 is just basically short, like my motivational daily videos that I do, get right to the point, because the purpose of the book is to not have you overthink. Just, here it is, go apply.
Right.
Here it is, go apply. Here it is, go apply. Sometimes we can overthink things. Sometimes we can do too much when you don't need to be doing all of that. When you could just say, all right, boom, boom, boom. As I told you earlier, common sense. I just think it's so rare nowadays.
Right.
Lots of sense. Know what matters to you more, know what matters to you less, and go handle your business. You're going to have adversity. It ain't going to be easy. But at the end of the day, I think in the book, if you apply the principles of just make it as simple as possible. You're going to have enough difficulty in your life that you, as we talked about earlier, President Trump makes me mad. Well, turn him off. That you don't need to deal with that stress. This book tells you how to just kind of deal with things as they come. Be proactive. Be respectful of yourself. Know who you are. Know what you're worth. The book is just keeping it simple, and that's what book 2 is. And then book 3, as I told you, if this idiot can do it, so can you. Shows you how I didn't make things simple, how I made things hard on myself until I started to ask questions, know what self-worth was, know that God's got my back, lean on your family, and you start to see things unfold for you. And then you'll look back and say, man, how did I get here?
Right.
Because you wanted to make that change. And then I found my circle started changing around me, as I told you earlier. And that's okay with me. I'm just being honest. It sounds brazenly arrogant, but that's okay with me.
It has to be, because I think that's one of the reasons why people are scared of change. They scared of change because if they change, that the people that supposedly like them may not like the new version of them. And what I tell clients a lot of times is you gotta be okay with that, because people like you for how they want you to be. And now, what you can do for them. So, if you was like me, I was the party guy when younger. So a lot of folks want to hang out with me because I brought the life to the party.
Right.
But now that I've transitioned, I still know how to have a good time, but it's not the way they used to see me. So I don't get the many invites like I used to, because I don't get down like I used to.
Right.
And I had to be okay with that, because what I try to tell people all the time is I want to go see Lisa Nichols, who's one of the teachers of The Secret. And she said majority of the relationships that you have in life is purposeful.
Yep.
It's a purpose for each relationship that you have, or each opportunity or job that you have.
Correct.
And when that opportunity or that relationship purpose ends, it's up to us to release it.
Correct.
It's what we mess up at with a job or relationships. When it's time to end the purpose has ended, we try to hold on to it, which make it worse. The relationship, since the purpose has ended, there's no need for us. The dynamic of the relationship's not going to be the same no more.
Correct.
So,
and some people can't move on from that.
Exactly.
And one of the ones I have in the passage in the book is called "Sometimes You Outgrow People," and that's not to be condescending.
Right.
And it's not to put them down.
Right.
Sometimes there are some relationships, as painful as it's going to be for people here, that need to end.
Right.
Because it might be what's been holding you back, whether you subconsciously or consciously knew it or not.
Right.
There are some people that outgrew me. I didn't like hearing that. But that's my issue to deal with, not them. If they're trying to progress, and at the time I didn't understand it, my issue is, well, why did they out? Why did they? Yeah, I've had people tell me, well, I outgrew you, and told me why. I didn't like hearing it, but
Right.
now at this point in my life, I understand it. I have a
Right.
better appreciation for it.
Exactly.
So when you outgrow people, it doesn't mean wish bad on them or whatever. Sometimes you just have to, like you said, transition and go on to what you
Yeah.
need.
My
God is leading.
my best friend, his birthday was yesterday, and I've known him since second grade, and our relationship works for us because I'm not a phone guy, he's not a phone guy, but it works for us. And so when I talked to him maybe like 2 years ago, so he was like, I'm not on social media, but I know what you do.
Right.
And he said, I'm proud of what you do. He said, what I want you to understand is, he's in corporate. He said, you have to be 100% unapologetic of who you are and what you're doing. And understand that when you do that and you be that, relationships is going to change and relationships is going to end.
Right.
And you got to be okay with that.
Right.
So as we get ready to close the show, I want to give you a chance, whoever's on your spirit at this moment, speak to the audience.
Well, as 2017 is coming to a close, I think the couple things that I noticed, and I alluded to it earlier in the interview, and I appreciate you having me on today. The world is hurting right now. All this violence and sexual harassment and the guns and all of this stuff, that's another way of looking at the world hurting right now. It's not excusing or things that's going on like that, but the world is hurting. But what it can do for you is awaken you if you process it correctly and you take action on it. You cannot, and again, I'm not telling you how to live your life, but what I will say is this: don't accept things as they are. Okay? And you can apply that to any phase of your life. We talked about outgrowing people is one of the best things I ever, because I've gotten a influx of new friends has helped me, has motivated me. They say I motivate them, but they've also motivated me, helped me, and I've asked questions, I've reached out to them. It has really taken Shannon to another level. Me going out doing speaking events, my network has grown, and I got people asking me to do some next year. It all started because I decided to take action, knew what my worth was, and don't let anybody stop you. Don't let nothing or anybody stop you. And sometimes you have to be oblivious to certain things that go on out there, because you so caught up in the daily rigmarole of the world, you start to lose yourself in it. And now you're making bad decisions, or you're not making decisions at all, which can be just as bad as making bad decisions. You have to be able to know what the task is at hand and get it done. In a year, I have done a lot. Now, again, I told you earlier, I'm nowhere near where I'm a whip. I'm a work in progress. I'm never finished, and I'm satisfied. But I am much farther by God's grace and mercy than I was. I've made mistakes. I'm going to continue to make mistakes. But as I said, as long as I learn from them, I don't know if I call them as a mistake. They're a happy accident, as I said. Chalk it up and you start to deal with it. And I've made new connections like yourself and other people. 2 books in the wings, possible speaking engagements coming up here. I would say to people, if you can find your passion and go after it, know who matters to you, keep them close, know that things are not as bad as they seem, and that's hard to wrap your head around.
Right.
Because sometimes when you're in it, you're like, man, it's just, I can't take no more. You will come out of it. You have to believe it. Like I said, faith is not something you have to necessarily understand. You just have to have it.
Right.
And get challenged every step of the way. That's how it's supposed to work. No one is absolved of that. And anybody that you perceive to have gotten there quick, first of all, I don't like to come in on people's that chapter of their life because I don't know what their previous chapters look like. Don't go by the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
What they went through. Let them talk. Like I said, with my clients, people that I don't know, they just start talking, and sometimes it just my eyes start to well up because I'm like, and like I don't know that I could have gone through that, but then. But they'll say that you can hear them coming out of it, and you can hear them coming out of it, which brings me joy as a coach to watch people out of it. Or at least they're making an attempt to come out of it because they want better for themselves, for their family, for their kids, and things of that nature. So what I would say to people is, don't let the world tell you what you're supposed to be. Don't let violence scare you off. Don't let bad relationships from the past scare you off. Don't let, sometimes people are afraid of what they think the future is going to do. It's going to scare them off. You 50-50 either way. You might as well take a shot. I'd rather have an oh well than a maybe woulda, shoulda, coulda. So take your shot. Everybody is blessed with the opportunity to take a shot. If you don't take a shot, sorry to say it, you ain't got nobody to blame but yourself.
Exactly.
Take your shot. Everybody has a shot. Go ahead and take it.
Good job. So how can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me on my fan page, sdhughesenterprises.com. On Instagram, I am Mr. Hughes and the number 40. On Twitter, I am Mr. Hughes and the number 1. I'm also on Google Plus under my name, Shannon D. Hughes, and I also have a YouTube channel, Shannon D. Hughes. I'm all over the place, and I think, Kevin, you know I'm also right now, I'm in a contest to win my own podcast, which I'm in the midst of right now. I have to advance to the second round. Right now, I'm in the top 3 right now.
Okay.
We can pass that information along, but I'd love people to vote for me.
So how do they do that?
Well, you can go to my fan page. There's a link there. And you click on the link, you'll see my big old fat head there. And there's a 2.5-minute video where I talk about, it's like an audition video, where I talk about why I want to win that podcast. Because I basically want to take my message to another level. Because, and at the end of the video, I basically say, there's too much overcrowding at the bottom, Kevin. There's plenty of room at the top. I don't like when they say there is no room at the top. Man, please. There's plenty of room at the top. They just don't want to. They don't want to see you doing better than them or as good as them. There's too much overcrowding at the bottom. So you can go there, vote for me. And in there, you can also share the video, which gives me points. It's a point system. Okay. And all the social media platforms are there. I would love to have everybody support and votes. And they announced the winner in January. The voting ends on December the 31st.
All right. Well, make sure everybody go out there and vote for Shannon. Thank you, sir, for being on the show. I look forward to creating with you in 2018. And we do great things in the men's group. To all my audience, I hope you have a great holiday season. I'll probably will be back in 2 weeks after Christmas and New Year's, and we're going to start 2018 with an amazing year. I will have Shannon back on the show sometime in next year, either to talk about his new book and everything else he's got going on. So I appreciate you, sir.
Hey, God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Same to you, and everybody else. Y'all have a great rest of your holiday season, and I'll see you in 2018. Be out. Thank you, sir.
Hey, that was fun. I appreciate you. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. You still there?